What does the spiritual battle look like in our generation? The short answer is, today, Satan has chosen three methods to continue his cause: hide, manipulate, and destroy the Bible. Although we don't have much insight into the daily activities of good and evil, some pieces of the puzzle are put in place when former elite occultists have become Christians. Roger Morneau was enticed to be a part of an elite society of Satan worshippers. But before his initiation, he was rescued by a Christian family. Listen to what he learned about the activities of the spirits today.
At the beginning of 1700s, said the high priest, Satan and all his spirit counselors held a great general council with one purpose in mind. It was to prepare for the great industrial age that was soon to break upon the world. And by the time the council came to a close, they had three major policies that were going to be followed. First, they were to see to it that humans would be made to believe that Satan and his angels do not really exist. The second one was to find a way of being able to get total control of people's minds. And that would be done by taking hypnotism out of the realm of the occult and introduce it as a new science for the benefit of mankind. They could then use people of great renown, educators, people of capacity.
Third point was what?
Was to destroy the Bible without burning it.
Okay.
See?
And what was the strategy on that?
That Satan would tutor Charles Darwin personally in setting up the principles of his theories of evolution.
Sure enough, shortly after the 1700s, much superstition dissipated as the spirit realm veiled itself from the physical realm. Ghosts became a campfire fairy tale. Breaking a mirror or walking under a ladder was no longer bad luck. Rabbit's feet and black cats were a thing of the past. And fear of the 13th floor dissipated. So effective was the veiling of the spiritual realm that people began to think that if there was no evidence of evil superstitious forces, there also must be no God.
It's hard to provide evidence for a God that you can't see or detect.
And like clockwork, the theory of evolution began replacing the idea of God. The second policy put in place by the General Council of the 1700s was to control the mind through hypnotism. What is hypnotism? Hypnosis, or a refined form of mesmerism, is often described as a sleep-like trance state, but it is actually a state of focused attention, extreme suggestibility, and heightened imagination, where you are fully conscious, but you tune out anything distracting around you.
What you'd be surprised to know, this is something that's done all of the time. And I tell you who the experts at hypnotizing people secretly are.
This is John Graydon. He is an NGA certified professor of hypnotism. He teaches hypnotists how to hypnotize.
One, Madison Avenue, advertisers, they do it all the time. They've spent billions of dollars learning how to do what hypnotists do. What do? We bypass the conscious mind and speak directly to the subconscious mind. We speak directly to the emotions. Some of the ways that they do it are through covert hypnosis, which is really a fancy way of saying emotional persuasion. That's the way I look at it, emotional persuasion. Remember, the goal with hypnosis is to bypass the conscious mind and get to the emotional mind.
So hypnosis is bypassing the conscious or analytical state of mind and manipulating the emotional unconscious state of mind. And this does not have to be done while in a sleep-like state.
So one of the ways that we do that is with a softening of the command. So a command may be hypothetically, let's say, you will stop smoking. And that's an authoritarian command that a lot of times people will resist. So what we want to do is kind of soften that.
This softening of the command can take the form of subliminal advertising, presumption stacking, threaded suggestion, or repetitive phrases while listening to some innocuous music or television show.
Music is hypnotic.
This is the world-renowned hypnotist James Gunta. In 2013, he was Hypnotist of the Year.
While you're listening, you'll hear everything I'm saying. You'll be awake. Hypnosis is not sleep. And it's not necessary to quack like a duck or bark like a dog. You'll remain completely in control of yourself. Simply listening to the music causes changes in your body.
And that is precisely what Satan was planning. Through soft suggestions in entertainment media, Satan could replace the Bible and alter any concept of God. But how would the devil and his minions accomplish this form of hypnotism without revealing themselves to others? A well-known legend in the music industry is a story of Robert Johnson, who was an average musician when he went to what is referred to as the crossroads. At the crossing of US 61 and US 49, Robert Johnson allegedly sold his soul to the devil in exchange for mastery of the blues. Bob Dylan, a famous musician of our generation, has a similar story that parallels Johnson's.
You hear those stories about the bluesmen that go out to the crossroads and sell their soul to the devil and come back all of a sudden able to do stuff. Robert Johnson, Tommy Johnson, that whole mythology was one of those kind of deals almost. When he left Minneapolis, he was just average. You know, there was 5, 6 other guys doing the same thing. When he came back, he's doing Woody and he was doing Van Ronk and he was finger picking. He was playing cross harp, and this is a matter of a couple of months.
That's when I went to the crossroads and made a big deal. You know, like, yeah. One night, and then went back to Minneapolis, and I was like, hey, where's this guy been? You know, he'd been to the crossroads.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. You know, I made a bargain with it, you know, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
Not many are as open about their crossroad experience with the devil as Bob Dylan. But Dylan isn't the only one.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal.
You know, in my time, you know, modern day Sinatra, so, you know, I try to live up to that, you know. I get possessed by the spirits.
And I remember right before I performed, I raised my hands up, and it was kind of the first time I felt something else come into me. And I can sing notes and sing strong and do all these things that when I'm just by myself, I can't do. I guess I wouldn't be very entertaining on the stage. So Sasha comes out and she's fearless. You know, she can do things that I cannot do when I'm in rehearsal. I mean, I can try, but then it just doesn't happen.
Because I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil. Sold my soul to the devil.
And what is one of the messages that has been pressed into our conscious by those whom have given themselves over to the devil's control? You might be surprised. The same message that was penned by occultist Aleister Crowley in his 1904 book, The Book of the Law.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Do what you want, if you have a dream for better. You gotta do it.
I said I'm free to do what I want.
I'm in your corner, do what you want, it's your thing, girl.
Now you can do what you like, do what you like.
I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I'll live my life the way I feel. I'm running things in my way. You can do what you want, just seize the day. But I won't do what you want to do. There ain't no rules, it's up to you.
what I want. Now I do what I want.
Do what you wanna do. Do what you wanna do. I'll be the fire in your winter, the sun in the spring. I'll do what you want, give you everything. Do what you want to me, yeah. Do what you want to me. Do what you wanna do. Everybody live a life so free. To do what we feel, to do what we please. Come on.
Do what we want. So do what we want. Do what we want. We do what we want.
We do what we want. We do what we want. We do what we want. We do what we want. We do what we want. We do what we want. We do what we want. We do what we want.
These are just a few songs that include the soft suggestions mentioned. But notice how repetitive they can become if you listen to the radio frequently. This does not mean every music artist or song is bad. Some artists simply echo the same phrases that they've heard other top artists sing. But some artists have been chosen, and they push the same agenda that Satan has been pushing for thousands of years.
Santana told Rolling Stone magazine, quote, "You meditate and you got the candles, you got the incense, and you've been chanting, and all of a sudden you hear this voice, write this down." Santana described receiving information from the spirit world like a human fax machine.
He sat me down and he told me that he had done his meditations and that he had spoken with his wife and that he had spoken with the angels, and they had come to him and they had told him that this is what he needs to do.
So he stated, quote, "When I let the Spirit play me, it's an intense delight. My role as a musician is to make everyone aware of his own divinity."
Satan told Santana the same lie that he told Adam and Eve. In Genesis 3:4, we read the lie that Satan told Eve. It says,
God has forbidden us to either touch or eat the fruit of that tree.
God knows that as soon as you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you and Adam will be like gods yourselves.
Calling humanity divine or like God is the same lie that Satan has told from the very beginning. Essentially, we should follow our desires instead of following what we know is right. In short, do what you want.
Do what you wanna do. You can do what you wanna do.
But I can do anything that I want to. I can pursue any kind of lustful desires that I might feel. I can engage in any activities that are so-called sinful activities and not really worry about any ecumenical councils making it right for me to do these things.
Living for, as I've said, all of the earthly and carnal pleasures.
A satanic world is a world reborn in purity, a world where the instinct and the intellect will be complementary to one another rather than being at odds with one another.
Now, if a Christian said to you, you were just really worshipping yourself, what would you say?
In a sense, they would be right. It is a form of self-worship.
If it's my hot body, I'll do what I want. I don't go to school and I kill people. Whatever, I'll do what I want.
So you can do what you wanna do. You already know. You can do what you wanna do. From LA to Tokyo. It was all inside you. All the time. Remember my.
In America, Satanism is sensationalized and kind of misunderstood, and people associate it with worshiping the devil and things like that. But it's really a philosophy about individuality and self-preservation. It's about being your own God. And that's a lot of the things that I've agreed with.
It's just the strong message that we're putting out, which is to promote free thinking and individuality and the right to do what you want to do.
So you can do what you wanna do. What you wanna do. You already know. You can do what you wanna do.
We feel that there is no reason why these people shouldn't just flip the coin completely over and simply call themselves what religion has called them for many, many years. Call them devil worshippers, or disciples of evil, or Satanists. Of course, it's very hard for a person to hang an uncomplimentary label on themselves. And for this reason, for many years, there will be people practicing Satanism as good Christians or other religions.
So you can do what you wanna do.
that's what you want to do. Amen. Amen. Amen.
As you can see, Satanism is simply looking through our own eyes for what is morally right and wrong. Looking at the character portrayed in most primetime television, mainstream music, and Hollywood movies is simply satanic. In fact, did you know that there are some stars that don't let their children watch television? Madonna, who has made millions off of her inappropriate behavior on the screen, won't let her child watch any of it.
She can't watch TV, and
She can't watch TV?
no, she won't be watching this interview.
Why can't she watch? She
Because
can't watch.
Because I don't want her to get addicted to it. Kids get addicted to it. They become mesmerized.
Barney?
They stop using. No. There's no Barney in her life.
No Barney?
No. Mm-mm.
That's like mean.
No, it's not. I didn't watch TV when I grew up. She likes to read. She uses her imagination. She's very verbal. She has an incredible memory. All those things I don't think she would have if she watched TV all the time.
Helen Hunt, who starred in Hollywood TV show Mad About You, told David Letterman she won't let her child watch TV ever.
Tell me about your daughter. She's close to 4? 4, is that right? 3 and a half, something?
4 very soon, yeah.
Would you have a big birthday plan for her? What do you do for the birthday?
We keep it very minimal at our house. She's never seen TV or a movie ever yet, so I don't know what she thinks I do.
So she doesn't,
She says strange people put makeup on and I leave, type a little, talk to some guy, maybe.
She's never seen you in any kind of TV?
She's never seen any TV ever.
Wow.
So we'll see, like, we'll drive by some picture of, Nemo, and she'll say, oh, a fish. I'll say, it's Nemo. What do you mean Nemo? I'll say, well, it's Nemo. It's a fish. Well, they named him Nemo. They named every fish?
Yeah.
No, this very special fish got to have his name.
See, now, you raise an interesting
Nemo.
point here, because I admire the idea to protect the child from the onslaught of
People like you and me.
Exactly.
I'm no dummy.
Exactly.
He doesn't need anything from
Interesting words coming from David Letterman, as he admits there is a total onslaught against the children. But not just against the children, against humanity. Helen Hunt understands and won't even let her child watch the children's cartoon called Finding Nemo. What does she know that we do not? Perhaps it's because there are some forms of media that are so carefully crafted with suggestive stories, which speak directly to the emotions, that the watcher doesn't realize they are being taught.
Let me give you a little inside information about God.
There is no God. There is no God.
He's an absentee landlord. Worship that? Never.
To consider the possibility that God does not like you, never wanted you. In all probability, he hates you. This is not the worst thing that can happen.
It isn't.
We don't need him.
But we don't need to hear it from the actors. If there is an agenda, the writers and directors will tell us about it themselves. Listen to these interviews by Ben Shapiro.
Mary Tyler Moore is a pretty socially conscious show.
Yeah, well, it was based on a socially conscious notion, but it wasn't necessarily we weren't trying to ram home messages in the show. We were trying to do it subtly.
Well, first and foremost, our job was to entertain, and we didn't lose sight of that.
Right.
And if, while entertaining, we could inject some social reality, make some points, that was terrific. And also the best way to really approach threatening topics was through humor.
We all come from a certain place. We're going to put out there what we believe because these characters mirror who we are. And it has to. You write from what you know.
One of the things I'm proudest about is the addition of the neighbors, the gay neighbors on Wisteria Lane. And you kind of hope that you're preparing the way, planting little seeds in the minds of people who sometime over the next few years are going to have gay neighbors buy a house on their street. And for me, that's the most effective political message, is that it's not particularly aggressive. It's just there, and it's slowly changing a perception.
Listen to how director Kevin Smith puts it in a speech to Cornell University.
So I always like to think of it as like, I've got him sitting there, whip a little message at him, whip a little moral at him, whip a little of what my view of the world is, because that's what every good filmmaker does. You know, you can't change the world, you can't cure the world. All you can do is be like, this is it through my eyes. Do you agree or not agree? And a lot of people seem to agree. Not a lot, you know. We've got fans, so they're smart. And we'll lead the world into the 21st century. And I'll make a profit on their backs. But you can't be responsible for your audience to some degree. You know, I mean, you put it out there and hopefully they get it, and if they don't get it, what do you do, hammer it at them? That's when the movie stops being entertaining. That's when you're on a soapbox and you're being didactic and you're just like, this is this and that is that. You know, Dogma runs very dangerously close to being a didactic movie. But thankfully, every once in a while, Muse makes a joke and, you know, people forget that we're talking about Jesus for a little while.
Making a joke out of Jesus, the one who humbled himself into our weak human form in order to come down to our sin-sickened world to make an atonement for our sin, while doing nothing but healing the sick and serving the poor, teaching a world that has been ruined by Satan's power, that God's laws are just and they can be kept, laws that are made to keep us out of addictions, to teach us the most loving way of living, and to give us an advantage over Satan's snares. Laws like don't kill, honor your parents, love God, rest. Don't desire someone else's stuff or steal it, and be honest. These principles of love are often the exact opposite of what we sometimes desire. Christ demonstrated the very foundation of God's kingdom in one of the most magnificent ways seen in the universe, by loving us so much that he was willing to die our death that we deserve upon the cross. So when you hear music or see video that is telling you to do what you want, or to follow your heart, your feelings, your desires, instead of what you've been taught is right, just remember what Jesus said in the Garden of Gethsemane, when everything in his body was telling him not to go through with the cross. And when he was begging God to take the cup from him, but he said, "Not my will, but yours be done." Had he reacted off of his heart and not his faith, we would all be lost.